Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're listening from in the world. My name is Jacqueline Dixon, and you're tuned in to the Ordinary People Show. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things, and we're broadcasting live from Toronto, Canada, powered by GBKM TV. I'm in studio this fantastic fall morning, sunny, glorious, warm, an exciting morning in North America, specifically the T Dot, inside the studios live with, of course, social distancing rules always still in place. My producer and myself. And you, the listener, the viewer, we're welcoming you right in this morning to have one of the most outstanding shows that I've been able to deliver for quite some time. For those of you who follow me on social media, you know who's going to be on today. You know who's waiting in the wings, and you know what type of a discussion we're going to be having today. So super excited about that. So for those of you who don't, you're going to have to sit tight because I'm going to tell you all about it right after our first commercial break. But before that, of course, let me start with my pleasantries as I always do. First of all, we just want to thank our sponsor for allowing us to be on air this morning. And our sponsor is none other than New Era Communications, professional sales training for entrepreneurs and up-and-coming sales professionals. Is your business struggling? Is your sales team struggling? Would you like to know what the process is behind successful sales volumes for your company? Contact neweracommunications.ca. And New Era Communications is also the company that produces Meet the Motivators. Meet the Motivators Professional Speakers Symposium, celebrating women in leadership each and every single year. Ladies and gentlemen, again, my name is Jacqueline Dixon. I'm your host on the Ordinary People Show, and I want you to get comfortable with me today because we're going to be having a very frank and friendly discussion with a lady that I have grown to admire quite some bit in the last week since I have been following her history, and I've been reading up on her and her attitude, her willingness, and her desire to define or redefine the new faces in Canadian politics. And that person is none other than Annamie Paul. And again, she's going to be with us right after my first commercial break. But before we get into all of that, let's just take a breather out. Let's take time out to recognize what momentous occasion we are currently experiencing as I speak. What historical history has been made this morning, ladies and gentlemen. History has been made this morning and is now official. It is in the books. It is down. It's written in the books, locked up. History has made its way into the White House this morning. Why? Because today we will have a new president-elect in the United States of America. Today, the new president-elect is none other than Joe Biden. Vice President Joe Biden has officially clinched the presidency for the United States. He will be the official 46th president of the United States come January 20th, I believe, when he takes that when he attends that inauguration ceremony in Washington, D.C. And for all of the Biden listeners and the Biden voters and all of the Biden supporters, congratulations to you. Kudos to you for all of your efforts and your long-awaited victory. And to all of the Trump supporters and the Trump voters, we say to you, listen, hey, chin up, chin up. You guys did a really good job because I tell you, it was razor thin for quite some time, and so many people just didn't know which way it was going to go for quite a while there. And it goes to show you the resilience and the determination on both sides of the aisle, the Trump supporters as well as the Biden supporters. But at the end of the day, you're only going to have one victor. And that victor today, ladies and gentlemen, was Vice President Joe Biden. A big congratulations as well to Kamala Harris, again, history maker, mover and shaker. She is now going to be the first female vice president to the United States, and the first as well African, Caribbean American, as well as Asian American to hold that position. We have so much to be grateful for in North America today. So much to be grateful for. Democracy reigns. Democracy reigns today, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not make light of it. It is a wonderful thing to be part of a free and democratic society. Now, what we're going to do, let me talk. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take our first commercial break. We're going to be right back, and then I'm going to tell you about today's guest. We're going to bring it back to this side of the border now. We're back in Canada, okay? We're going to bring it to this side of the border. We're going to be talking Canadian politics today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk about the new faces in Canadian politics, where we are going, and what is our vision for a better future for us Canadians on this side of the border. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back after this first commercial break.
Hello, my name is Ryan Knight, the co-founder and executive director of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network Foundation. I am here excited to announce the new microloan program that we have put together. With the support of Alterna Savings Credit Union and the partnership of SETC, Empowered Forex, and the Dream Legacy Foundation, we're going to be helping more entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage get access to funding and help with their grant writing. Please visit our website, acbncanada.com, to learn more if you're an entrepreneur that's in need of funding or if you would love to support this organization.
Do you believe you could host an entertaining, engaging, and thoughtful weekly show? Or are you a business person or entrepreneur interested in building a brand for yourself? Can you connect with an audience and have strong social media skills? If so, the GBCam Network would love to invite you to join our team. We're looking for driven, genuine folks who are willing to work hard as an independent broadcaster. If this sounds like you, come join our team. For more information, email your resume to career@gbkm.fm. That is career, CAREER, at gbkm.fm. It's time to turn your
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ordinary People Show. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And I'm your host, Jacqueline Dixon. I'm here each and every Saturday from 12:30 to 1:30 in studio, presenting what we always believe will be a show that's going to empower, inspire, and promote the best of what we have to offer here in the GTA. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about Canadian politics, and I want to bring something to your attention. For those of you who don't follow politics as closely as, say, for instance, I do, or maybe some of my listeners, I'm a bit of a political junkie. I do believe in being a part of the process. I do believe that if you're not a part of the solution, then you could potentially be a part of the problem. So my goal is always to provide some sort of solution. What kind of solutions can I bring to the political process here in Canada? What kind of information, what kind of value can I bring to the discussion that we have about Canadian politics and the rules, regulations, processes, and procedures that we have in place? How can I implement change when it comes to something that I might not like or I don't believe will be of value to myself or my household? How do I do that? How do I engage in the process? And how do I have some sort of, or can I even have some sort of impactful influence when it comes to any of these matters? And the quick answer to that is simply yes. Yes, you can. And one of the very first things that you can do, which is probably from an ordinary person perspective, one of the very first things that you can do in order to effect change is to exercise your constitutional right as a Canadian in the voting process by simply participating as a voter. As an eligible voter, you get on multiple occasions to cast your vote, selecting your preference in a candidate that would represent your riding, your district, your province, and your country on multiple times throughout the course of your life. From the age of 18 is when you become an eligible voter here in Canada. And you have to ask yourself, since becoming 18 and of course becoming an eligible voter, how many times have you exercised your right to vote, your right to choose who is going to represent you, whether it is on a municipal level, a provincial level, or a federal level. Just a quick note as we wait for our guests to come on. I'll tell you just a little story about a situation that I had. I did not exercise my right to vote as soon as I became 18. It took me quite some while to realize that, you know what? Me sitting back and complaining about what I believe is right or what I believe is wrong in politics and within the individuals that are representing myself and my region, by me sitting back and not participating as a voter, I wasn't really doing all that I could possibly do to affect the changes that I was looking forward to having done. And it wasn't until I got to a point where I became sick and tired of being sick and tired of the same old that I decided to, you know what, I'm going to get involved. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to pay attention to what's happening in my district, in my riding, in my province, and in my country. And I started to look at ways in which I could potentially make a difference. And that's when politics and the political leaders started to become more and more interesting to me. In saying that, research is important. Look at the individuals who represent the riding that you are living in. Look at the representative for that riding, and then you can literally you can move it out further, because there are 3 levels of government that we have in Canada. We have a municipal government. They're the ones who take care of your things like your snow removal, your garbage collection, and your city streets where you live. Your municipal taxes are also paid to them. Those are the people who represent you in places like Toronto City Council. So your city councillor would be your representative on a municipal level. Find out who that individual is. From there, we then go into, of course, provincial government. And provincial government is, individuals like our current premier, which is Doug Ford. They're representing us on a provincial level. That's Ontario versus Quebec versus other provinces, and that's who you would be paying attention on a provincial level. And of course, on a federal level, we're talking the Prime Minister's office, and some more. So now, okay, I'm so sorry. I've been told that our guests are here, and we're going to take a quick commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your patience. We'll be right back with our guest, Annamie Paul, the leader of the Federal Green Party of Canada. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Do you know who you are? What is your name?
Sometimes you wonder why and wonder how. Don't be alone. Just stay calm, cause even if you choose or not to.
My child, recite the words of this ancient mythology. The wisdom I disperse in this verse, no apology. Memorized to keep you from evil theology. For you, the darker hue, you denied your equality. See, for generations we perpetrated psychology. Divide and conquer each other, really lynch policy. You cannot build each other up, how will you build economy?
Do you know who you are? What is your name?
Sometimes you wonder why and wonder how. Don't be alone. Just stay calm, cause even if you choose or not to.
My child, recite the words of this ancient mythology. The wisdom I disperse in this verse, no apology. Memorized to keep you from evil theology. For you, the darker hue, you denied your equality. See, for generations we perpetrated psychology. Divide and conquer each other, really lynch policy. You cannot build each other up, how will you build economy?
Hello, my name is Ryan Knight, the co-founder and executive director of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network Foundation. I am here excited to announce the new microloan program that we have put together. With the support of Alterna Savings Credit Union and the partnership of SETC, Empowered Forex, and the Dream Legacy Foundation, we're going to be helping more entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage get access to funding and help with their grant writing. Please visit our website, acbncanada.com, to learn more if you're an entrepreneur that's in need of funding or if you would love to support this organization. Hello, my name is Ryan Knight, the co-founder and executive director of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network Foundation. I'm here excited to announce the new microloan program that we have put together. With the support of Alterna Savings Credit Union and the partnership of SETC, Empowered Forex, and the Dream Legacy Foundation, we're going to be helping more entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage get access to funding.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ordinary People Show. My name is Jacqueline Dixon. I'm your host. Thank you so much for being patient with us this morning as we welcome our anticipated guest, of course. For those of you who follow me on social media, you know who is waiting in the wings right now, and she's here with us right now. And we're going to introduce you to her in just a millisecond. But before I do, let me kind of set the stage for you a little bit so that you can feel comfortable with the type of discussion that we're going to be having. As you know, as I said earlier before the break, that this is a historical day today in North America for so many reasons. And I'm sure for those of you who haven't, who've opened up your social media or even turned on your television set, you know what's already taken place. We don't have to get into that right now. But there's other history that's being made on this side of the border as well, in my personal opinion. And the history is being made within our own political system here in Canada. There is some historical things that have taken place in the last few years, and we've seen some new faces emerge in Canadian politics. And it's our responsibility as we see it here at GBKM TV to expose and introduce those individuals when we have an opportunity to the grassroots community. At GBCAM, we're called the mouthpiece, and we're called the mouthpiece for a reason, because we stay very close to the grassroots community, and we're very much invested in the political discourse here in Canada. We try to ensure that we bring to you all of the political candidates that are vying for your favor here in Canada to the best of our ability, so that you can make an educated decision on who you feel should best represent you and your needs. The person that I am featuring on the Ordinary People show today is called Annamie Paul. And let me tell you a little bit about Annamie. Annamie was born November 3rd, 1972, and she's a Canadian activist and lawyer who has been the leader of the Green Party of Canada since October 3rd of 2020. She is the first Black Canadian and first Jewish woman to be elected leader of a major federal party in Canada. She was a candidate for the 2019 Canadian federal election. Paul won the 2020 Green Party of Canada leadership election to replace Elizabeth May, and Paul ran in the Toronto Centre October 26, 2020 by-election, which was called following the resignation of Bill Monroe, and she was defeated by Liberal Marcy Ian. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome my featured guest today, Annamie Paul, to the Ordinary People Show. Good afternoon, Annamie. How are you today?
Oh, I'm wonderful. It's so great to be with you. And as you said, on a historic day, especially.
Yes, absolutely. It's so fantastic. And the weather is great. You're great. I mean, the history, I'm bursting out of my seams today. I don't even know where to start, because one of the reasons why I'm bursting out of my seams, Annamie, just to let you know, I am one of the biggest cheerleaders when it comes to celebrating women in leadership. I toe the line when it comes to that. And knowing today that we have the first female vice president that has ever been elected to the United States, and she's a woman of color, and now having you on my show, I'm in awe. Okay. So let's break it down. Let's jump right into this and break it down because for those listeners and viewers who don't know much about you and what you stand for, we're going to try to break it down for them in a really simplistic way today so that they can see you as not only a federal leader and a female federal leader, but as a sister, as a mother, and as a wife, right?
Yeah.
So that, because relatability is so important in my personal opinion when it comes to politics, feeling that you can relate to the candidate that you are choosing. Do you believe there's any merit to that?
Absolutely. And I promise that I'm going to try to do everything that I can for as long as I'm the leader to really underline exactly that I am still a person. I'm someone who, as you said, is a mother. One of my children wasn't able to return to school this fall because of COVID. You know, he's a university student. I'm a daughter, and my mom is 84, and I haven't been in the same room with her for weeks, again, because of COVID. And so all of the things that people are going through, all of their day-to-day struggles, I want them to understand that I feel them and I'm experiencing them too. And so when I talk about solutions for them, it's because I want them on behalf of the people that I love and on behalf of our communities.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So let's talk about the position that you currently hold right now. You are the federal leader of the Green Party of Canada. That is not a simple accomplishment, let me say that much, okay? So first of all, congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
But let's talk about the federal parties. Now, for too long, Canadians have been caught up in this two-party system. I personally think that having you step into the arena now is going to allow individuals to finally wake up to the fact that we are not bound and restricted to a two-party system here in Canada. There are other federal parties that we can choose to have represent us at the federal level. So, but my question to you is, why the Green Party?
You know, I really believe my family was born in the Caribbean, and pretty much for more than one generation, you're born and they just you just feel almost like they just slapped a liberal sticker on you and said future liberal voter, you know, because that's very much the case in the Caribbean community in particular. And so you're right, you know, it took me all the way to my adulthood to really realize that this was a decision I could make independently. I could weigh up the parties and decide which one best reflected me and my values and the direction I wanted to see Canada go in. And for me, and in answer to your question about why the Green Party, that was the Green Party. I wanted a party that I believed was going to be unafraid of putting out the really important policies, even if they were going to be the first, even if they hadn't been proposed before. I wanted a party that was really serious about progressive politics, about creating a truly just and dignified society. And I wanted a party that was also serious about the climate emergency because, you know, I've spent a lot of time in the room with scientists hearing about it. And, you know, once you've opened your eyes, you really can't close them again. So all of those things brought me to the Green Party because all of those
Thank you so much for that very, very concise answer. So just for you, you know, I'm sure you probably know that a lot of individuals don't know enough about the Green Party. We don't know enough about the platform of the Green Party. What do you really stand for? And, you know, if we were to ask the average person about their understanding of the Green Party and what the Green Party stands for, do you know what they will say most of the time? You do know?
Well, the clue is in the name, right?
Right.
The Green Party.
That's right.
That's yeah. So it is absolutely the first thing people think about is they think about the environment, they think about the climate, and they should, because we want them to think about those things when they think about us, but we want them to think about a lot of other things, and certainly I do. And so I've been talking about those things ever since I was selected as the leader. We're the party that talked when I was a candidate in 2019 and well before that about how we needed a guaranteed livable income. Otherwise, people would keep falling through the cracks. We're the ones who called for universal pharmacare, for a true national affordable housing strategy, you know, for true social justice. Because there, you know, all those things are interconnected, and we really understand that now. So People, I want them to keep thinking about us because that, again, as I said, it's still a crisis. The climate is still in crisis, but I also want them to know that if they're looking for the home of progressive politics, progressive policies, moving us to a more just and sustainable and equitable society, that's also when they should think of the Green Party.
Very good, thank you. So there's much more substance behind the Green Party than simply climate change and legalization of marijuana. There's more than that, right? There's so much more substance.
But those are good examples to use in this way. I would say to people, we have legalization of cannabis now, for instance, but that took many, many years of the Green Party advocating for that, getting it into the mainstream political conversation before that happened. And the thing is, we're living in a moment now where we're going to need that kind of attitude, those kind of policies over and over and over again. And the Green Party is, at this moment, the only party that has the willingness, the daring to actually put those new innovative policies out there first. Someone has to be able to do that so that we can go from idea to implementation.
Thank you. Can you tell us how it would appear right now, based on the numbers and also based on the amount of attention that the Green Party is getting right now, that your party has moved itself exponentially over the last few years? Can you tell us about the growth that you have seen happen within the Green Party and where you're getting the growth from? Where are you? Are you bringing new voters into the fray, or are you simply just chipping away from what the already established voting blocks that we have, which would, my opinion, probably be the NDP? That's my guess, is where you'd be chipping away a lot of your support from. Can you tell us who are the supporters?
It's both of the things that you described, actually. We talk about Greens growing votes, and when we say that, what we mean is that wherever we run, there tends to be a higher voter turnout. Many of the votes that we attract are new votes from people who might not otherwise have voted. But in addition to that, I think it's really interesting to look at the by-election that I just ran in not that long ago.
Toronto
it was
Centre.
About exactly a couple of weeks ago. There, we increased our vote share by 25% from the 2019 election. We got a third of the votes in that riding. And if you look at the Liberals, the NDP, and the Conservatives, they all lost on vote share, and it all went to us. So that 25%, about 15% of that came from Liberals, 5 or 6% from the NDP, and 5 or 6% of it from the Conservatives. So we're attracting people across the spectrum, people that are really looking for positive change, new ideas about how we can get to a new destination as a country. And it's very encouraging for me to see that.
That is so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing those statistics. Now, so let's just drill down on those statistics just a little bit. And it's kudos to you for bringing more people into the fray. But so what you're saying is you chipped away about 25%. First of all, the first question I would ask you is, how dare you? How dare you even think that you could run in Toronto Centre? That's really ballsy. I mean, that is one of the biggest Liberal strongholds that you could ever go into. And then here you are going into that district, thinking that you could take off, one of the sweethearts. So she's a new face to the Liberal Party, but she's still a Liberal sweetheart, and you actually peeled off 25% of their vote. That's
about 15% from the Liberals. But you know what? You've got to go big sometimes. I mean, I did this first because I have a very long-standing personal connection to the riding, and of course I ran there in 2019. And I always say to people, what would you do? If you see a riding that is suffering this much and that has been neglected this much, and you have the opportunity to give them a chance at real change, what would you do? So I knew I was going to do it. At the same time, I think that Green should be able to run competitively everywhere. And, this was a chance for us to show what we did, which is that we can be competitive, even in the safest Liberal riding in the entire country. I'm sure that Marcy is going to do a good job on behalf of people in Toronto Centre. And, there's so few Black women running in politics that while it was a nice thing to see us running in the same riding, ideally that wouldn't have been the case. But, and I really congratulate her, but definitely I was going to run there. We were going to run competitive. And I feel like we have definitely left that by-election with a clear statement that we are here, that we are going to run competitively all over the country, and that no seat should be considered safe anymore for any of the parties.
100% I agree with you. You did leave your mark. So let's just drill down on that just a little bit more. Marcy Ian, hey, you know what? Everybody is very familiar with her face. She's a public person because of her introduction through media. But what do we really know about her background? I'm not even so sure. We know that she went to, I believe it was Ryerson. We know that she's a journalism major. But again, her background, her introduction to the general public was through media. Now, I read about your background, and I'm going to tell you honestly, you have one of the most impressive backgrounds that I have ever seen any political leader here in Canada hold. And that doesn't get enough attention. The fact that you are actually a Princeton graduate, I mean, for anybody who's ever had the opportunity to read this article in the Toronto Star, I would urge you, if you want to learn a little bit more about this lady and appreciate the caliber and level of intelligence that she comes with, then I would ask you to read the article from the Toronto Star on Monday, October the 19th. It's very, very in-depth. I've read it twice. I was so impressed with you. And the fact that you were one of the youngest females that went into law school here in Canada. And from there, you went on to Princeton. You were a graduate of Princeton. From there, you went on to do international work. Can you tell us a little about your travels since deciding that you wanted to get involved with politics at such a very early age of, my understanding, 12?
Well, that was just to be. I did not know at 12. It would make a nice story to say at age 12 I knew that I wanted to do this, but I was very interested in public policy. I was very interested in how government helped to affect change. I was very interested in about how government could help community. And so being a page at 12 was great because it gave me exposure to the legislature and the business that happens in the legislature. And I was a page in the Senate when I was at university in Ottawa. And I did an internship also in the Ontario legislature. That was all really fantastic exposure. And it really gave me a sense very early on of how important politics and how important government still remains in helping good things to happen for people. But it was also really important to me to do lots of things outside of politics. I really wanted to work in a lot of different areas, to travel. I worked in Belgium, I worked in Spain, I lived in the United States for a number of years. I wanted to be able to bring a very strong lived experience to politics as well whenever I decided to do that. And I know how important that has been for me. And I know it's going to make me a better leader.
Fantastic. Now, I want to talk about, let's kind of move over to a subject that has been getting a lot of attention this year, and it's called systemic racism.
Yes.
And I was really disappointed a few months back when the new leader of the Progressive Conservative Party was asked a very straightforward question, in my opinion, by a reporter. And this is 24 hours after being elected as the new leader of this federal party. And the question was, do you believe that there's systemic racism in Canada? And I was just simply waiting for him to answer with one word, and that would have been yes. But however, here's how I plan to deal with it, or here are the plans that I have in order to combat this situation. He did not answer that with the answer yes, and he tried to ask the reporter basically what the definition of systemic racism is, which I thought was absolutely abhorrent. So my question to you is, do you believe that there is systemic racism in Canada?
Yes. I mean, I can elaborate, but I will certainly say yes. It is something that I spoke about quite extensively during the campaign. I would have loved to put out even more policy about it, but we at least made sure that we put out a policy on dismantling systemic racism in our criminal justice system, particularly in policing. But absolutely, look, this is something that the United Nations has recognized exists in Canada. They specifically, in 2017, in their working group of experts report on people of African descent in Canada, specifically said in their conclusions that systemic racism existed throughout our institutions in Canada. So, I am a Black woman living in Canada. There's no question. I'm aware of that. There's no question that the debate and the jury is in. This is something that exists, and it continues to be a painful source of oppression for people of color, particularly Indigenous and Black people in this country.
Thank you. Now, the fact that we acknowledge, they say the first step to healing is to first acknowledge that there's a problem.
That's right.
So if we could all just kind of come to the conclusion that systemic racism exists, however, there are many different ways that we can try to combat this issue and find solutions for it so that we can have a more perfect union going forward. That's the type of a conversation. Those are the type of responses that I believe that the Canadian people are looking to hear from our leaders. Not to act as if something which is so clearly obvious doesn't exist. However, we don't let these obstacles become a barrier to our success. You clearly haven't allowed that obstacle to become a barrier to your success. I certainly haven't. And there's many other Black women in leadership roles that have not allowed that to become a barrier as well. Can you tell us some of the things that you have done in order to overcome the obstacles that you have faced as not just a female, but a Black female leader in order to be where you are today?
Well, first of all, I had the good fortune of being the daughter and granddaughter of two extraordinary women who came from the Caribbean, both as professionals. My grandma was a nurse, my mother was a teacher, and they came here and had to start all over. They had to work as domestics, live-in housekeepers in order to get their permanent residency. My mom had to go back to school all over again and get her degree and get her qualifications to become a teacher. And, my mom got her master's degree while she had 4 children under the age of, I guess we were between 15 and 8 years old when she finally got her master's from the University of Toronto, while she was working full-time and teaching night school and sending money back home. So if my mom could do that and my grandma could do what she did, there were not going to ever be any excuses for her kids and their grandkids not to use their talents and not to make sure that they accomplish whatever they set out their minds to do. So that was a big part of it for me. And the other part of it, and this is the case for everyone, I'm sure it is for you too, is having some mentors, people who really believe in you and are willing to put their time and energy and networks at your disposal in order to help support you on your career path. So those are the things for me, and I never really questioned whether I could succeed because my mom would never have actually permitted that. So
I love that answer. You never even questioned whether or not you could succeed. That's the same attitude that I have as well. Kudos to you for that. So let's talk about now, listen, work-life balance. It's not easy. You're a mother. You're in an interracial relationship. And you have embraced Judaism, and you're raising a family in the Jewish religion. Tell us what that's like. I mean, that must have been a big decision for you to make. And how was it received?
Well, I converted a long time ago. So almost all of my adult life, I've been Jewish. And my partner and I, my husband and I, we met in law school. We've been together going on, I think next year will be 28 years. So, closer to 30 years than 25. We've been married for 24. And so this has been a part of my life for many, many, many years. And it's been wonderful. My kids are older now. My sons are 16 and 20. They're very proud to be Black. They're very proud to be Jewish. There are a lot more Black Jews in this world than people would imagine. I'm actually the oldest. This is a little fun fact. The oldest Jewish cemetery in the Western Hemisphere can actually be found on the island that my mother and grandmother are from, Nevis. This is an island of 10,000 people, yet it still has the oldest Jewish cemetery in the Western Hemisphere. So, this is something that was always very comfortable with, and it's been just a real pleasure leading this life with my family. A lot of great food.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So listen, you're not the only big shot in that household. I understand. I've read a little bit about your husband as well,
Yeah.
and what you say that it's been 28 years. I mean, you look really good. Let me tell you that much.
Thank you.
But your husband, tell us a little bit about his background and his. I understand that he's a human rights lawyer. Am I correct?
That's right. His area of specialization is international human rights law. While I was doing my master's at Princeton, he was doing his master's in law at Columbia, and specializing in that area. And so he runs a global think tank that focuses on how to support societies that are transitioning toward democracy, create a sustainable transition. Because it's one thing to move in that direction, but you want to make sure that you're creating all of the conditions that will allow it to thrive and become permanent. And his particular area of specialization in are amnesty laws, truth commissions, how to deal with legacies of human rights abuses. So yes, exactly. When we're talking about the superstar of the family who's actually out there helping to save the world, it is definitely my husband, and I'm very, very proud of him. He's also a prolific writer. He's written, I think, it's either 3 or 4 books with Cambridge University Press now, and he's quite an extraordinary person. I'm very lucky to have him.
Yeah, it sounds like that as well. Okay, We're going to bring it back to politics now, and we're going to talk about the fact that you were defeated in your attempt to secure the seat in the Toronto Centre. And there's a little bit of chat going on in the background about that. There was some controversy with that seat, and maybe you can clarify some stuff for us. Because my understanding is that Elizabeth May, when Jagmeet Singh, who is the leader of the federal party, did not have a seat in the House of Commons, Elizabeth May, who was the leader of the Green Party at that time, was so very gracious as to actually not run a candidate in the riding that he had to move out to in hopes of getting a seat in Commons. Because there is very good reason to believe that if she did, he would not have been the victor. And as a result of that, he was able to secure his seat, and that's why he now has a seat in the House of Commons. That gesture was not given back to the Green Party when you were attempting to run in Toronto Centre. So instead of them backing out of a situation where they knew that they pretty well had no chance of winning, they still ran a candidate, and that gesture just wasn't returned. It wasn't reciprocated. Can you tell us what are the sentiments? What are your sentiments behind that? And what are your
I
thoughts?
knew that there was going to be a full slate of candidates, and I did not expect the NDP let's say, recuse themselves or to choose not to run a candidate. I mean, they have never done any favors like that for us under under their current leadership. And I certainly had no expectations that they were going to make an exception for me. So, we ran knowing that the odds were definitely going to be stacked against us. Just keep in mind also that we only had 3 weeks, just under 3 weeks to do the entire campaign. And that was a 2-week delay, right? The Liberals had a 2-week head start. Plus, of course, they knew they were going to call the by-election, so they were able to hit the ground running. So, would it have helped? I'm sure that it would have helped. But did I expect it? Absolutely not. And I mean, considering that we received double the vote that the NDP did in that riding, I think that people in the riding, and this is a riding that's held provincially by the NDP, I think it was really clear that people in the riding were ready to make a new choice, to make a positive choice. That many people, a third of the people in the riding felt that that was going to be the Green Party. And I do think if we had a couple of more weeks, we might actually have won the seat. It off.
Yeah.
It's always coulda, woulda, shoulda,
Yeah,
but we have, again, this is a riding that the Liberals won with 57% of the vote, the vote share just last year, 57%. And so the fact that, again, we did so well in so little time, first of all, it's a credit to people in Toronto Centre. I'm so proud of them for every single one of them that had the courage to vote for something different, something that they had never voted for before.
Awesome. So the last thing I'll say about that particular race before we talk about the future is this. I was when I first saw the promos going out about the fact that that's the race that you were entering into, I thought the first thing that came across my mind is, black on black crime. Talk about, but let's be realistic now. There are new faces that are coming into the political arena now, right? And we're going to have to get comfortable, in my opinion, I don't know how you feel about it, but we're going to have to get comfortable with, duking it out, like coming up against another individual of color. And how are we going to act? How are we going to behave? It's not all or nothing, is it? We're going to have to get comfortable with being able to duke it out in the arena with a sister, with a brother. Do you not agree with that?
100%. And, there's some benefits to it because even as you've seen down in the United States, there is this common perception, and it's a misperception that the Black community, the Black diaspora is a monolith. We all think the same way, we all vote the same way, and that's just simply not the case. And so, even this year, having Dr. Lewis run a very, very, very competitive race for the leadership of the Conservative Party, and seeing Marcy and I run in the same riding against each other, I would say that the only silver lining of that is that it helps people to see that we have, we come in with different politics, we have different perspectives. That you can't just assume that we're all going to be running for the same parties. And definitely, as much as it sounds strange to say it, what we do want to see are many, many people of color having to run against each other because there are so many people of color running federally, provincially, municipally that, there's no alternative. That's exactly what we want to see. So,
I agree
but it's
with
true.
you.
It still feels a little strange. But yes, it is the future. It's definitely the future.
Good, and I agree with you. And I want to commend both of you ladies for being so respectful towards each other at the end of the day. That was so awesome. Listen, we're going to take a quick commercial break and come back and ask you the final questions, which is what is in store for the future for Annamie and the Green Party, and where are you off to next in order to get your seat in the House of Commons? Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned in to the Ordinary People Show today with our exclusive interview with the leader of the Federal Green Party. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Funding and help with their grant writing. Please visit our website, acbncanada.com, to learn more if you're an entrepreneur that's in need of funding or if you would love to support this organization. Hello, my name is Ryan Knight, the co-founder and executive director of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network Foundation. I'm here excited to announce the new microloan program that we have put together. With the support of Alterna Savings Credit Union and the partnership of SETC, Empowered Forex, and the Dream Legacy Foundation, we're going to be helping more entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage get access to funding and help with their grant writing. Please visit our website, acbncanada.com, to learn more if you're an entrepreneur that's in need of funding or if you would love to support.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Ordinary People Show. My name is Jacqueline Dixon. I'm your host, and I'm excited today to have my featured guest, which is the federal leader of the Green Party of Canada, and it's Annamie Paul, and she's with us here today to discuss her vision for Canada and the future for the Green Party. And it's our last question of the day. I know I've hogged up your time. I'm just so excited to have you here, and I can have you here for easily another hour, but you've got things to do. But listen, while the viewers are watching live or they're watching it on a replay, I'm sure they're going to take a lot from this interview that's going to help them to formulate some conclusions and do some more investigating as to who you are and what the Green Party stands for. But maybe you can just kind of close out the show today by giving us some insight as to what your plans are right now. Right now, you don't currently have a seat in the House of Commons. We need you in the House of Commons. I need to see you there to bring more flavor to this whole thing. And where are you going to get that seat from? What are the plans?
Well, a big part of it is going to depend on when we have the next election. The parliament right now, unfortunately, is giving all the telltale signs that it's not going to last much longer. I hope I'm wrong, because we're in a pandemic and there's still a lot of work to do that won't get done if we're plunged into an election what I promised our members I would do is look all over the country to determine where would be the best place for me to run, to see where I'm invited to run, because Greens, we're different. I can't just drop myself in somewhere without invitation and take that seat. So we're actually having those conversations right now, and we know that we need to make a decision very quickly because we could have an election at any time. In the meantime, I'm doing this. I'm trying to spread the word. I'm trying to let our communities know, I'm trying to let all the Black communities know you're welcome in our party. We want you, your talent, your intellect in our party. We want you to run for our party. And so I'm always going to, whenever I get the chance in the interview, make that, direct appeal to people and tell them to please get in touch with them if they're excited about anything that I've shared with them today about our party and the future that we have in mind for Canada.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And you heard that, ladies and gentlemen, the invitation given to you by Annamie herself. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you so much for tuning into the Ordinary People Show, but most of all, I want to thank you, Annamie, and the Green Party team for accommodating GBKM TV. We look forward to having you back with us again in the near future, and much success to you and your team. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I can't wait for the next invitation. This was so much fun.
It was. Have a great Saturday.
You too.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard me wrap up the interview with our federal leader of the Green Party, a lady that we can all be proud of, regardless of what your political feelings are or where your interests are politically. She's a lady we can all be proud of, especially if you are of Caribbean heritage. This lady definitely fits the bill for a woman in leadership. And she needs to be celebrated. Hopefully she'll have an opportunity to get a seat in the House of Commons so we can spice things up a little bit more in there, and we can get to and affect change for Canada, the type of change that's meaningful and lasting for all Canadians of every ethnic background, stripes, and colors. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Ordinary People Show today. Let me tell you what we're doing next week here on the Ordinary People Show. Again, it's one blockbuster interview after the next. Next week, Saturday, who we'll be having in studio will be the chief of the Ontario Human Rights Commission. Will be right here with me on the Ordinary People Show. We've been talking about systemic racism a lot. We've been complaining. We've been talking about all the things that are wrong with the system. But listen, there is a person who's actually responsible for the implementation and the suggestions of solutions that could curtail the issues that we currently face with systemic racism here in Ontario, and that is the chief Commissioner of Ontario Human Rights. She will be here in studio with me next week on the Ordinary People Show, along with Keep Six founder Richard Miller and other esteemed guests to tackle the issue head-on on systemic racism in Canada. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your patronage today, and have a wonderful Saturday until we see each other again right here at the same time, same place, Ordinary People Show next Saturday. Cheers.
Know who you are. What is your name?
Sometimes you wonder why and wonder how. Don't be alone. Just stay calm, cause even if you choose or not to.
My child, recite the words of this ancient mythology. The wisdom I disperse in this verse, no apology. Memorize to keep you from evil theology. For you, the dark of who you denied your equality. See, for generations we perpetrated psychology. Divide and conquer each other, really lynch policy. You cannot build each other up, how will you build economy?